I want to welcome Bobby to Profitable Pursuits. I'm really excited for you all to get to meet him. I've actually had the opportunity to meet Bobby in person, and I'm excited for everything you're going to learn. So welcome, Bobby.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here. Excited to make a difference for your community over here.
Absolutely. So in case our community is new to you and to what you offer, can you give us a little 411 on who you are, what you do, and a little bit about your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a extremely strong sales background. I've been responsible for over $50 million in sales. And through my career and my journey, I realized that instead of just helping clients be really amazing at sales, which we do, that's one of our services that we offer. We train highly qualified experts on how to enroll more clients with ease. But instead of just working on that side of the equation, I realized, what if we started working on the way they're standing out in the marketplace and the way they're attracting premium clients? And what we do now is we basically help highly qualified experts become irresistible to premium clients so the sales become easy. So we basically help highly qualified experts uniquely position themselves in the marketplace in a really exciting way so people start to pay attention to them. And then we teach them how to communicate their value in a really amazing way, in a way that actually drives demand and drives sales. And then we teach you how to have natural enrollment conversations that result in more sales.
Cool. Can we, real quick, in case people are new here, what is your business name? What do you go by?
Yes.
And I just want to make sure everyone can follow along because you've been in this for a while.
Yeah.
And I love entrepreneurs who have, I hate to say like the same conversation, but that means you're good at what you do, right? Because it's personally profitable. We haven't had to pivot 5,000 times.
Right.
So let's start there with like what your business name is and where people can follow, because it's really important that people start here.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's called thepinnacleposition.com, and that has all the information there. That we've got an upcoming workshop, which we'll talk about probably later.
Sure.
We've got a positioning guide that could get you started. And if you want to reach out to me, all that information is on that website.
Yeah, and it will be linked down below. Let's just jump right into it. I love to share conversations like this because if we can be honest, if we don't start with that top line of bringing in revenue or clients, you can never have a personally profitable business. It all starts with that top line. Doesn't matter how you want to cut corners or strategize. If we can't start at the top, it doesn't work its way down to the business owner. So Can you give some tips and tricks on how you attract or you bring in clients?
Yeah, so I mean, we have multiple strategies for bringing in clients. Getting on podcasts is one of them. And most of your clients are probably doing all the right activities to get clients in, but many of them are not being effective within those activities. So like, for example, getting on podcasts is a great way of getting clients. Jumping into other people's Facebook groups and making a difference for that community. Running paid ads. We've spent multiple six figures just in ads. So, and we're a small business, so that's pretty significant for us. And so running ads, social media content is another thing that we've really been honing in on and getting really good results with. LinkedIn content strategies. But a lot of these things are very familiar with your audience, but a lot of what your audience is probably experiencing probably right now is frustration that their current marketing activities are not working. And I really want to hone in on that because many of them think like, oh, I just need another marketing strategy. And it's not really that you need another marketing strategy. You just need to know how to make the marketing strategies that you're using actually work, right? So like according to Forbes magazine, your clients are already exposed to over 10,000 marketing messages a day. So if you're just pumping out messaging and marketing and just putting yourself out there in a very generic way, how can you ever expect people to choose to work with you? There's more alternatives now available to your customers doing the same thing that you do than ever before. So learning how to actually utilize the platforms that you're currently in a better way, in a more effective way, in a way that actually captivates the attention of a very specific subset of clients is really the thing that you need to be focusing on. And when you've got that dialed in through that process that we call the pinnacle position, people start to pay attention. You start to learn how to communicate in a way that actually gets clients to be captivated with every word that you say in a market where there's so much being bombarded at them every single second of the day.
Cool. So is it fair to say, well, obviously you need to be visible and be out there, but if you aren't captivating, if you aren't exciting, for lack of better words, it kind of shows in your results.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Oh, huge. Like if you've ever, so we have symptoms of you need this process, right? Here are some symptoms that you need to implement the pinnacle positioning process. Like, for example, you're running ads, right? And they're not converting as well as you'd like them. Or you're putting out, you're spending hours on social media content and you're not attracting premium clients, or you're not attracting any clients at all, or you're not attracting enough of the right clients. Maybe you're getting on enrollment conversations and all you're hearing is, wow, that's expensive, or let me think about it, or let me talk to my spouse, and then those leads fizzle away, right? Are people coming to you pre-sold, excited to invest? Or are they comparing you to literally 10 other alternatives in the market? Are they bringing up price? Are they saying, hey, well, I've also talked to this expert who seems like they offer something very similar at a lower cost? Are you getting that, right? Are people asking like, well, what really makes you different? And these are all symptoms that you need to implement the pinnacle positioning process, because the more you market yourself without this process, the more you're telling the market that you're the same as everybody else. And again, if they see the same as everybody else, how can you ever expect them to actually invest in your services?
For sure. Let's talk, we keep throwing out the word position. Can you define, in case someone's new to that term, what is positioning? What does that mean?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So many marketing experts in the past always had this idea that your brand is something that, is this elusive thing, and that you can't really control the perception of how people perceive your brand. And I so strongly disagree with that. And now all the evidence is showing that that's so not true. You, as an entrepreneur, as an expert, as a business owner, your main responsibility is controlling the narrative of how people perceive your brand. And so how we do that is through this process that we call positioning, right? It's your brand positioning. How do we start to shape how we are being perceived in the marketplace to our most important clients? So it's really about like shaping your brand and how people experience your brand and how people compare your brand to other alternatives in the marketplace. And that process is really called, positioning. And pinnacle positioning is actually, how do we actually take that unique position and position you in a category of one as the number one choice in your field?
Ooh, interesting. Obviously being a part of the online space for a while now, you hear all these marketing messages, white noise. It's not often that people are dialing in to this positioning and communicating it with such an authority. Yeah. But really, if you are out in the world, the internet space, and people can see you and you're not having the results you expect for the effort, most likely, from what I'm understanding, you have a positioning problem. Fair?
Yeah. Absolutely. If your marketing isn't working, if you're getting on the phone with unqualified leads, if you're not getting enough of the right leads, if people aren't coming to you pre-sold and excited to invest in your services, if you don't have a long list of clients excited to buy every single day, if you don't have people reaching out to you, asking you to be on their podcast, you haven't done a good job with this positioning process, right? And once we figure all that stuff out in our workshops and in our work together, you start to become that category of one that everybody wants to work with. And you and I actually met in another mastermind, but like when I start to make posts in other groups, like we get floods of people reaching back out to us because we know what to say, we know who we are in the marketplace, we know how to communicate our value, and we built this authority brand around this idea of positioning. No one was talking about, by the way, positioning over the last 10 years, and I've been really trying to educate the market about the importance of it. And now I bet you're gonna start to see your favorite expert talking about the importance of positioning. And we've been talking about it for 15 years. We're like the originators of this idea of this, category of one positioning or pinnacle positioning, because like if you are the same as everybody else in the marketplace, like you start to become a commodity, right? And you know this firsthand. If I'm comparing apples to apples, I'm always going to go with the cheaper apple if the apple is exactly the same. It just makes more business sense, right?
Absolutely. And that's why it was so important that I had you on here, because as I said in the beginning, I love to talk to business owners who've been doing the same thing because it's working, right? The people who are constantly pivoting, something's not working, they don't deliver a service or a product that's exciting or engaging or that gets results. So that's why I want to have this conversation times like a million today. But let's just jump into it a little bit further. Can you give us some examples of brands who have like awesome positioning so we can, if that's maybe not our lingo, we can be like, oh, yes, I can relate to that. Yeah. I can understand that.
Okay. So when you think of brands like I'm actually using a MacBook Pro, but this right here it's an Apple product, right?
Right.
Now, when Apple comes out in a recession, right, with the Apple 14, the new Apple, what is it? What are they on? 14 now is coming out in September, and in the middle of the summer, there will be lines of people in a recession in the summer with people with perfectly fine iPhone 13s waiting in line to pay $1,700 for the new iPhone, right? In a recession, in the heat, in a market where they don't really need another phone, but they're raving fans, right? Do you think Apple... So this is something this is the other cool thing about once you do position yourself, you literally have people waiting in line, excited to pay a premium for your services. And the cool thing is, this is why, I'm 50 million in sales is something that's really like, I'm really excited and proud about, but like, I'm more excited about getting you into a position where you don't have to be pushy on sales calls. If you feel like you're pushing on sales calls and trying to convince, you have a positioning problem. Right? So like, do you think Apple, they could hire any kid off the street? And this is why you go into an Apple store and they hire a lot of young people. They could hire pretty much anyone, and it doesn't really matter because people are already coming to the Apple store excited to buy. Do you think that anyone comes into the Apple store and says, hey, I'll buy this phone if you give me a better deal on this phone? No one's ever said that, right? No, and it just doesn't happen because the customers are conditioned and excited to pay a premium. And not just that, but they're begging. They're like, hey, can I get two of these? And they're like, no, you could just get one. And they're just camping out days before. But then when you get on an enrollment call, you find yourself having to push and push and push and convince, and it feels physically exhausting. And then they don't call back. It's because you don't have that positioning. But Apple could hire any Tom, Dick, or Harry off the street and they would crush sales. And it's not because they have a better sales conversation. It's not because these kids that they're hiring are master salespeople. It's not because they're any more qualified than you are. In fact, in most cases, these people are nowhere near as qualified as you as an expert, but they crush the sales. It's because Apple has positioned themselves as the authority of the market and in a category of one. There is no alternative to iPhones, by the way. Like, Motorola is an example of a poorly positioned brand. I don't even know if Motorola still exists. But like that's a really good example of a brand that has really mastered this idea of pinnacle positioning. Another great brand is Rolex. Okay, so Rolex right now, you can walk into any official Rolex dealer in the United States and you will have a hard time, literally a year waiting list, just to buy a Submariner. And that is a $15,000 watch in a recession, and there's literally a year waiting list to buy that watch. When you go into places like, maybe Tag, they're having a sale on their watches and they're trying to push their watches. And Rolex is trying to push people out saying, we've got too many people wanting this. You have to sign up for a waiting list. And what they don't tell you is what you have to buy like a couple $100,000 worth of watches for them to actually sell you one. They're just saying we have a long waiting list. So it's like Rolex has been positioned at the pinnacle of the market. And so once you learn how to start to shape who you are in the marketplace in the correct way, you start to attract premium clients. You start to get people really riled up and excited to buy from you. You get people waiting in line, like ready to invest, regardless of what's happening in the economy. And when you start to, one of the things we teach is this idea of like hyper relevance. You know, so many entrepreneurs, and you see this especially in the expert space, all these people are putting out just content after content, and it sounds like something I've already watched before. In fact, there's some coaches out there that say, go look at the most viewed content and recycle that as your own. And the reason why none of this is working for you is because you sound like everybody else. You sound like something that's already been done. You haven't learned how to you haven't really identified what we call your remarkability factor. The first thing that we do in our program is we help you identify your remarkability factor. And in 99.9% of the cases, it's not what you think. And so once we've identified that, we start to shape that and mold that, and we start to put language behind that. And then you start to put stuff out in the marketplace around who you are and how you help people. And we start to give you the language on how to communicate that, your marketing just starts to work better. So it's not that Facebook ads don't work. It's not that your social media doesn't work. It's the way you're putting content out there, and what you're putting out there is what's not working, because there's other people that are crushing it on Facebook ads. There's other people that are crushing it on social media. So it's not the strategies, it's really the strategy behind the strategy.
Ooh, take a layer back.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say in, the industry, you can see it online. And that's why so many people are pivoting or quitting their business, is there's so much out there that if you aren't positioned correctly, if you don't know how to communicate that correctly, you're just going to like fall to the wayside, or you're going to have to compete on price. And once you compete on price, it's like a losing battle.
It's a downward spiral.
Amen. Amen. In order to be able to be like in the market for positioning or like refining your position, is it fair to say like you need a few things first? Like you need an offer you're proud of. You need something worth, like, what are the prerequisites to being in this conversation of like, hey, let's now refine your position in the marketplace? Yeah.
So we work with people who are just getting started. We do ask that they're highly qualified. So we don't want tire kickers. We don't want people who are looking for a side hustle, because our work is really, really powerful, and our clients get like crazy sales afterwards. So if you don't take it serious, like, we don't want to really work with that type of client. But if you are like a highly qualified expert, maybe you're a naturopathic doctor, maybe you're a financial advisor, maybe you're an accountant, maybe you're a chiropractor. Like, we have a chiropractor we're working with, Nick, right now. He's done over 250,000 adjustments. So like, but he's been positioning himself in the market very generically. So he came through our process and he's just killing it in sales. Most chiropractors are charging like $100 per adjustment if it's cash pay, which is considered a premium in the market. And Nick is selling like $6,500 packages, and he's closing about 8 out of 10 of them. And then the like 2 out of 10, 1 to 2 out of 10 are end up buying a $4,000, $3,600, $3,800 package. So no one's doing that kind of stuff until they go through this process. So like, you don't have to have an offer like that's proven. You just have to have like, you have to be trained in the skills and in the services that you offer. So if you're an accountant, you have to have you have to be trained as an accountant. But we actually help you shape your offer in an exciting way, because most people, that's the other thing. That's a great question. Most people, like, the offer that they're putting out there wasn't really designed to maximize sales. It was just something that they felt the market needed. Maybe they saw somebody else making that offer and they thought they could be competitive in it. And it's just a copycat. There's too many copycat offers out there, and this is why your offers aren't selling. So like, we've worked with anywhere from like the startup, service-based professional. We call them highly qualified experts that know they can add value to the market. And they know they have an expertise. Maybe they've worked with clients before in the past, but they want to be more effective at attracting premium clients, and they want to scale their business the easy way. And then we've also worked with 8-figure service-based experts and help them take it to that next level. So really, we don't like people that don't know what they want to do. We work with people that are experts. They're highly trained in their expertise. You don't have to have a proven offer. We like that if you can, but like we'll help you really reposition your offer in a more exciting way so you actually can make more conversions. But we just work with people who are highly qualified experts who realize they're great at what they do, but they're not making the revenue, the sales that they know that they really would like to be. And maybe they're finding themselves like literally exhausted in their business and frustrated because they see other people that are nowhere near as good as they are doing so much better than they are. So we help kind of give you that competitive advantage through this process.
It's so important because at the end of the day, running a business, we talked about this right before. The only thing that matters is that it's affecting you personally, whether that's through more revenue, whether it's time freedom, whatever that is for you. If we can be real, it takes money, right? Yeah. If you want more time freedom, it takes money. So you can't have more money if you can't fill in that top of the line revenue stream. If you can't bring in qualified leads who are paying what the service is worth. Yeah. That's why this conversation is critical.
Yeah. I love what you just said, because that's another symptom is that you're undercharging for your services. Like if you're great at what you do and you see the value of what you offer, like maybe you're a financial advisor or maybe you're, an accountant that's saving their clients 7 figures, but you're charging like $10,000 for that. Like there's a huge disconnect between the results that you're giving and what you're actually charging, right? And I always say that your offer should be 10 times more valuable than what you're asking for it. But even with that equation, most experts are grossly undercharging for their services. But it's not just about increasing your prices, because if you increase your price and you're not positioned correctly, you're just going to lose a lot of business.
Preach it.
I mean, it's because think about it. Let's just think about it. So let's say there's 2 financial advisors, or let's say there's 2 accountants that they're tax strategists, right? And they both charge $10,000. And then one of them's like, you know what? I want to charge what I'm worth. So I'm going to charge 50 grand. But the way they're showing up to the market is they're the same as everybody else. Who do you think they're going to go with? The cheaper one. But when you start to elevate your position and you start to speak about a different kind of offer, a different kind of experience, you know how to communicate your unique value. You know why you're different than everybody else. And you know how to effectively communicate that in really powerful enrollment conversations in your marketing and in the way people start to perceive your brand. Then you can bump that up to 50 grand, probably do close to the same amount of work. Apple's phones aren't that much better than Samsung phones, probably. They don't have chips that the other ones don't have. It's probably all the silicone chips are probably made in the same factory. But like the way Apple positions themselves is a completely different experience. And so people are just begging to buy an Apple, right?
Amen. I love that you hit on the pricing component. So many people want to say like, price what you're worth, and I cannot stand that, because you need to price for a product or service in the delivery. And let's also, to hit on your point, let's not price ourselves where no one's going to buy. If you can't sell it where you're selling it now, just because you increase it doesn't mean more people will flood. It requires the positioning and then to back it up with the service provided.
Yeah, and that's why we always start people through this process, regardless of like if you're just getting started or you're already making like multiple 7 figures. We take them back through this exact same process. It's okay, how are you being positioned in the market? How are people perceiving your brand? How are you different than everybody else in the marketplace? And how are we communicating that through all of our marketing channels, right? And then how do we maximize that visibility to where when people hear the pinnacle positioning process, they're like, oh my gosh, positioning, I've got to position myself, right? It's different than branding. It's different than hiring a copywriter. And this is a question I get all the time. Well, what if I just work with a copywriter? Well, the copywriter can never be more clear about what you do than you are. So like, they're just going to take what you're trying to say and try to put some organization and finesse to it and maybe a little salt and pepper to make it sound a little bit more exciting. But we've actually taken copywriters through this process. And why would a copywriter do that? Because there's literally thousands of copywriters out in the marketplace. right? So like, how are you different? How are you communicating your unique value to the marketplace? And how effective are you at actually doing that, right?
For sure. One of the things I absolutely love about the internet is it gives you an opportunity to meet others that you may not typically meet. It gives you a chance to like learn, grow, inspire. And that's, I met you online as well. If you're willing, can you share some of those like big goals, things like you're working towards? You have a super impressive resume that you barely like schemed in the beginning, but can you talk about some of those big goals and aspirations that you personally have in hopes to inspire others?
Yeah, I mean, I'll share with you a story. So we work with all types of experts, right? And so how I even developed this whole process and how I came about this idea of positioning is I grew up, like I was 4 years old. I remember working in my parents' showroom, and I was super shy. I was very shy. I was 4 years old. They had a jewelry showroom, and this is like early 80s Dallas, the bustling cities of Dallas, big hair, beautiful women. Mary Kay's would bring buses of women to our showroom, our jewelry showroom. And my dad would pull up a stool and he's like, help these customers. And I was like so shy, my face would turn all red. And like, that was the early like experience of being an entrepreneur. But I always like related selling to this idea of like creating a real connection with these people. And so that allowed me to come out of my shell. And so I think a lot of people, they're trying to push their sales, they're trying to push their products. And I want to bring back this idea of it's really about making a difference for the people that you serve, right? And it's like, it's not just about, hey, how do I just push more of my product? It's like, are you really making a difference for the clients that you work with? Or are you just trying to peddle something just to pay your bills? If you're just trying to peddle something to pay your bills, you're going to be positioned the same as everybody else. This is like what we teach our clients is like, one of the biggest positioning mistakes is that you're positioning your business based on the results that you've had in the past. So maybe a lot of experts go through this process called launching, right? So let's say you did a launch and it didn't go as well as you wanted it to go, right? So you started to put yourself out there, you spent 10 grand on ads, you made your presentation and no one bought, right? The next time you launch, sometimes if you let it affect you, you're gonna close up a little bit. You're not gonna be as free and as confident and as excited as you were the first time, because you're gonna be like, shit, what if this goes like poorly again? And you start to play small in the marketplace. And if you really are great at what you do and you really care about making a difference for your clients, like you deserve to invest in training and mentorship that's going to help you serve more clients and make a bigger difference. And going back to this story is, I've always been drawn to this idea of marketing and sales, and because I've always related sales to creating real relationships with my clients and having them make a bigger difference. And so fast forward, my parent back in the 80s is when I got started in my parents' jewelry business. But in the late 90s, when the internet started to really like come about to small businesses, my parents got crushed in that space. And many of you guys feel that way. Like since COVID, like you're flooded with all this online competition, right? And so this was when like jewelry companies just started having websites and they didn't know how to pivot to this new generation of technology. So I saw them from going to like multiple seven figures to literally like crushed overnight when people started having websites. And so I had a successful career working at Fortune 500, and I noticed my parents' business really struggling. And so I decided to basically bring, my expertise to their business. And I brought in some amazing mentors. Like the guy that basically branded David Yurman was my branding mentor. One of the guys that did all the advertising for AT&T and American Airlines was my advertising and marketing mentor. One of the guys that built like basically one of the fastest credit card processing companies in the world was my sales mentor. So I brought in like these mentors, and we would meet regularly. I'm like, okay, how do I take this struggling business and build something of significance in this crazy competitive market space? And I started implementing some of the things that I learned from corporate America. I started implementing some of the things that we talked about in our meetings. And I literally saw our business like transform overnight. And as our business started to bloom and grow like crazy, like we started getting people reaching out to us. Like they're like, wow, how are you on the biggest celebrities in Hollywood? Like, where did your business come from? How are you on TV every month? How are you on these morning shows? Like, how did this happen? And I didn't realize that at the time, but I was basically like deploying this pinnacle positioning process that we have now. And so we started taking on clients, all these businesses that started reaching out to me that had been following our brand. They're like, hey, could you help us do the same thing? And I remember, I never forgot, I was in my showroom, it was packed. And this lady came by, she was buying like $1,000 beautiful designer bag that we had in our company. And she brought me some fudge, and she's like, hey, I just want to tell you, I love your bags, and I'm in the fudge business here, taste this. And it was amazing. It was amazing fudge. And so I'm like, what do you want to do with this thing? How's it going? She's like, well, we're kind of just scraping by. It's my grandmother's recipe. Her name was Kelly. And she happened to be showing at that same building. She's like, we're in the gourmet section. Come check us out. So I went down there, and she had this like scary picture of her grandma. It looked like from a horror film. Like it was like this black and white. She wasn't smiling. It was scary. And then she had salmon patties, and I'm like, Kelly, you said what do you want to do with this brand? Like, what's your vision for the brand? And she's like, well, I want to have my grandma's fudge in homes across America, because I believe like it's really good. I'm like, it's delicious. It should be. I go, but based on how you're positioning yourself and based on how you're branding yourself and communicating who you are to the market, you will never get there. And that's one of the things that my clients like about me, is that I don't sugarcoat it, because I would rather just tell you the truth so you can get over it and actually take action and grow your business, right? The right way. So she's like, can you help me? And I'm like, well, I did it for my company. I can try and see how we do. So we recrafted her message. We reshaped her brand. We were really dialing in her unique position. And within about 4 months later, she's selling on QVC all over America. Like her sales like went through the roof. And so we were able to repeat this over and over and over, now to over 100 different companies, mostly in the service expertise business. Accountants, doctors, functional medicine, naturopathics, chiropractors, a lot of people also in the health space, but also people that are like designers, interior designers, financial advisors. But long story short, as we started to grow our consultancy practice, I never forgot, I was in the room with one of my clients, Dr. Sundar, one of the most brilliant doctors I've ever met, triple board certified. This guy was amazing. And he brought us in because he had this process called neurofeedback, which was a very like complicated way of describing like brain training and brain exercises. And he's like, I have this process that we do, and it's getting crazy results for our clients. So we're working with him in his office, one-on-one. We're mapping this whole thing out. And I hear a knock on the door. And it's this older lady with this really younger kid, and they're both crying. And they're like, sorry, we didn't mean to disturb you, but we just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Sundar. And I'm just watching all of this experience unfold. And his neurofeedback treatments reduced this lady's Parkinson's shakes by 50% just within a few weeks. Wow. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, like Dr. Sundar like deserves to get his message out there that he can help people. And he was so intelligent that he would speak over people's heads. Like most experts, they're not speaking at a level where their clients can really grasp the value and the power of the transformation that they can really create. And so from that moment on, I was like, I really want to work with purpose-driven entrepreneurs, helping them make a bigger difference by empowering them with the right strategies and the tools to be more effective at attracting ready to invest clients so they could make a bigger impact and really create more freedom for the expert as well.
Yeah. It's not even like a belief. I know that when you are personally profitable in your business, you have more impact on the world. And that's why I'm so obsessed with, it's not that I really care about people stacking dollars or how much it has nothing to do with that. It's just when you have freedom of money, you can do more personally with your family. And that's how we change the communities. And that's how we change the world. That's why it was so important for people, one, to hear how they can do it easier, right? If you position correctly, it just makes the whole system easier. And that's how we can have a greater impact on society. It's really a twofold. In order to get that top line, to have that greater impact, you all have to start with the positioning. So people come into your world so you can offer that life-changing services, products. And even if what you offer isn't life-changing, by you being a profitable business owner, you can change your life, your families, and your communities.
Yeah, and your legacy as well.
For sure. I definitely want to have you talk all about your workshop, how people can join it, what people are going to get from it. Like, give us a lowdown, because I really believe it's that important that people attend.
Thank you so much. Like, we have a workshop that we've been basically hosting for the last, I would say, 5 or 6 years, probably longer than that. But each time we bring it out, we refine it, we make it better. We've taken over 6,000 service-based entrepreneurs through this workshop. And it's specifically designed to help you. It's the first layer of positioning, right? We call it position for profit. So there's like 6 steps in positioning. You're going to get the first step like on me, because I believe in the work that you do. Whether we ever work together or not, I believe that you need this in order for you to be successful in your business. So one of the things I teach in my business is the best way to show the market that you can help them is by literally demonstrating that you can help them, right? So we do that through our workshop called Position for Profit, where it's specifically designed to help highly qualified experts uniquely position themselves in the marketplace so that they can start to attract premium clients who are excited to invest. And it gives you that first layer of positioning in our full positioning process. And it's extremely powerful. We've had people go through the workshop and literally double their business. But the reason why we offer that for free is it's kind of our act of service, but we also know that you're going to love it so much, and you're going to love the clarity that you get out of that many of you guys are going to want to work with us in our next level, where we could actually help you implement the work and actually develop your unique message and help you shape your unique position so you can actually go out and crush sales and make a bigger difference for your family, and do it the easy way. Like, if you're struggling in your business, whether you're already at 7 figures or you want to get to 7 figures, or you're at multiple 6 figures or you want to get to 7 figures, wherever you're at, whatever stage you are at in your business, if you're feeling a lot of frustration, or if you're trying to do all the things that the experts are telling you to do, but they don't seem to be working, and you're experiencing that frustration, I want to tell you there is a better way. And really want to encourage you to sign up for this workshop. And now, if you are an expert and you're like, look, I just watched this, I know I need this, and you just want to skip the line and you want to reach out to us and learn how we could support you, we have amazing offers, that we can share with you as well. But the workshop, because you're listening to it on this podcast, for now, is you get a complimentary ticket to it, and you get to bring a friend. We don't work with woo type businesses, like that's not really our market. And network marketing or multi-level marketing, that's not like our specialty. We have proven results, and we've gotten great results for expert spaces, coaches, consultants, people who are highly qualified that want to attract premium clients and want to grow sales the easy way. That's like our little narrow focus that we've been really able to make a huge difference for. And we've got over 100 testimonial videos of clients that have been through this process, and crazy results, like 10x.
Well, it works when you've done the same thing. I think you just said for 6 years, this workshop. That's how it works. Yeah.
Rinse and repeat. That's one advice I can give you guys. Like, if something's working in your business, just refine it and continue to make it better. But like so many business owners, like you said, they're putting themselves out there and they're like, oh, nobody wants this, maybe I should try something else. No, it's not that nobody wants it. It's that nobody wants it in the way you're describing it. It's nobody wants it from you because of the way you're positioning yourself in the marketplace. So before you scratch everything that you're doing, go through this process because you give it a chance to be successful. It's so critical. Like, I love what you said, is that people keep trying different things and they're bouncing around. Like, we have a phrase for it in our training. We call it the wandering entrepreneur. They're signing up from training to training, mentor to mentor. They're doing workshop to workshop, and they're getting no results quickly. And they're frustrated and they're like, why isn't anything working? And the worst thing is they start doubting themselves. And I don't want you guys to do that. So you are not your results. If you get something from this training, is make sure you sign up for the workshop coming up. And number two, you're not your results. So stop relating your value with the results that you've been generating, because we're going to show you how to get way better results. But even when you get amazing results, you are not your results. Your results are a reflection of the quality of your strategy, but it's not a reflection of who you are.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
I got to turn that into a quote card.
You should. That's a good one. We are going to link everything down below so people can easily access that workshop. And I want to thank you for offering it and for your time today. This is an extremely valuable, because if we can't fill that top line, you can't fill your personal pocketbook. And I want you all to be personally profitable.
I love
so thank
that.
you, Bobby. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.